broke itself again. Let's just see. Do I even need the chat app open? That's the relay chat. See if that shows up. Oh, where's my chat? Restream chat. Huh. I guess I don't even need it. Okay, never mind. No thank you then. Let's see where we are. Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Checkity check 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 check. Checkity check check check. Oh, that's my phones. Check 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 check. No, that's not what I want. This is what I want. Check check check. Trying to avoid the. Sounds like checkity check check check. Yeah, see, no more space monkeys. Good. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Who's here? Well, if you have something to chat, type it in the chat and it should work. Okay. Oh, I should see it. Okay, so this is... Welcome to Dropping Into Pipeline Audio number 35, and tentatively this is going to be ergonomics. It's going to be loud. You can see there's a... I don't know if you... Can you see? There's going to be a band practicing in the background, so... okay. Anyway, I'm going to turn that. Let's go to... There we go. Oh, that's total mix. Neat. And there's Reaper. Okay, anyway, so this is ergonomics. Generally ergonomics is, how comfortable is your workspace, how easy it is it for you to get your job done. And in music, and especially in mixing and stuff, I like to think of ergonomics as, ideally your job is to get the sounds you hear in your head out of your speakers. The sound that you imagine you want to have, you want it to come out of the speakers. That's a whole nother thing about whether or not you should be imagining the sound that you want to get rather than just getting the sound that's coming in and doing natural things or whatever. Anyway, so ergonomics is part of that, getting the sound of that's in your head coming out of the speakers. And it's to me it's like what things hold you up? Are there technical reasons holding you up? Are there financial reasons holding you up? Are there things going on around you that are holding you up? Or is it just that, boy, it would sound better if I went and patched this reverb in, but I didn't have to get up and I have to go find some cables and stuff, so maybe I'll just leave it off. And so maybe it'll suffer a little bit for it. And that's what I think about when I think about ergonomics. Just how hard is it for you to do your job based on how you have your things set up. And, a while back I did that video on Harrison Mixbus and how everybody said, oh, it sounds so much better. And it turned out that, they pretty much nulled with any of the DAWs unless you really did some pathological stuff with the bus compressor or whatever. But if it is easier for you to get your job done in it, think about it. You have a certain amount of time, no matter what. Excuse me. And you got to get your job done in that certain amount of time. If it takes you a long time to get the kick drum sound you want, you're not going to have that much time for anything else, So if something like Mixbus, maybe they don't give you as many options, but you already got an EQ and compressor, it's already sitting there ready to go. You're not going to spend as much time messing around with stuff. You're probably just going to go straight to the sound you want. And so there's a lot to be said for that. and one of the ones that really always hits me is technically perfect is the enemy of good. And even worse than that, perfect is the enemy of finished. Like, so many projects never get done. So many projects never even get started because you're too busy trying to get every single thing perfect on the way there. So that's that's something you definitely want to avoid. Okay, what's going on here? So perfect is the enemy good. And there's so many times where, like, you could say, oh, we want to have the right guitar sound before we start singing or whatever. You never end up writing the song. You never end up playing the song. One of the ones that happens around here a lot, not sure if you're going to be able to see this. Let me see if I can. No, you can't really see from here. One of the arguments we get into around here a lot is for the, let's say, tom mics. If I have them, you can mount them on clips that are attached to the toms themselves, so they move with the toms, or you can put them on stands that you are going to have to readjust every single time a new drummer comes in, or for all kinds of reasons. People bump them, whatever. I prefer to have everything on stands. I like that internal kick mic mount. As much as I can, I'd like to have everything mounted on to the drums, so that no matter how the drums move, the mics will still be working. I mean, if you've ever seen my setup, I can hit a few buttons. I can load up a Reaper template, hit record, and I'm recording drums already. Everything's on there in mics, unless we put things on stands. Then all of a sudden I have to go and readjust things and stuff. And the idea is that it's possible that in an ABX test, maybe you could hear the difference between mics mounted on stands and mics mounted on clips that are attached to the drums. I'm not sure, maybe you'll be able to pick which one's which after a while. I'm not really sure that one is better than the other. I know that's blasphemy, and everybody on Gear Sluts is going to say, well, obviously you got no ears if you can't hear the difference. But sounds fine to me. And let's say I have to take another 5 to 10 minutes setting up the toms because I put them on stands instead of clips and somebody's moved them. That's 5 to 10 minutes I could have spent, recording the song or mixing the song. It doesn't sound like much time, but it really adds up. And just the frustration of having something changed like that has a lot of downstream consequences. Like, I guarantee I'll get the stands where I want to hear them sooner or later, but it's going to be a much different setup than I had before, and I'm going to have to rethink and re-EQ, whatever, everything that I had previously set. I mean, I know it sounds lame doing a mixing template or something, but it's pretty close, with the clips. And it's just one example where, maybe it's 5 to 10 extra minutes up front, and then all the changes during the mix, that could have been avoided completely for a theoretical gain of I don't know what. Like, let's say you could figure out in percentages, this sounds 4% better than this other thing. That 4% is not even going to come close to making up for the amount of time that I've lost and all the different changes I'm going to have to make. So I don't mind keeping them on clips. And it is really a case of perfect being the enemy of good. You see people who won't work because their rooms are a certain way. You see constantly on my room, there's more and more areas covered by bass traps. But, after a certain percentage, it's kind of the law of diminishing returns. Like, if you, back in the day, in order to get yourself a 13-second muscle car, you were spending a couple $1,000 or whatever. In order to get down into the 12s, you were spending another 5,000 at least, and getting down into the 11s. Now you're starting to talk about big money, and it starts getting to this logarithmic proportion, where just these tiny gains take tons and tons of money. It's the same kind of thing. Like, there's a certain amount of coverage you get on your walls, especially if they're strategically placed, that after that, you're really only changing things a little bit. And so don't stop yourself from working just because, I mean, look, room acoustics are super important. We had Scott Veenstra on here, and I'm sure we'll have him again, and we can talk about it all the time, but get it good, and then don't kill yourself on it, you know? I mean, if you are paying top dollar for a room, then, you know, it better be good. But aside from that, I mean, I will get what I consider good sounds in pretty modest rooms. If you guys remember, Vintage's drum room is actually pretty small. The one I've got right now is huge comparatively. Another one is impulses versus miking speakers. You know my history with that. It was either me or Beam Sonic that had the very first impulses for a cabinet, using a cabinet instead of a guitar amp being mic'd up. Though an impulse is a mic'd up guitar cab. It's just you're applying a you know how these work. Convolution. Hopefully you know how this works. You can take an impulse, convolution reverb impulse of a speaker. You put a mic in front of a speaker, play a test tone through it, and record it. And basically, you've got the response of that speaker. You don't have the dynamic response of that speaker, but we're finding out more and more that doesn't really matter as much as you might think it would, and it may not matter at all when you're talking about ABX tests. But it most definitely gets the time-based stuff, the EQ and the decay and all that. So for the most part, I haven't mic'd a guitar amp on purpose, except for educational purposes. If I got to record, unless they don't have a line out or something, I'm taking an impulse. I'm sorry. Everybody tells all these noobs they got to buy all these mics and all this stuff. The room you're sticking your guitar amp. Okay, let's say you had the best room in the whole wide world. I don't know that you're going to beat it. You're going to beat impulses with that room, no matter what. Maybe for the most experienced person, you can make it different. I don't think you can make it better. You can definitely make it different. But, is different better? That's up to you to choose. So that's a really important thing to think about. But let's be realistic and look what most people have. They have their bedroom. They got an amp sitting in their bedroom. They can't play it that loud. The entire room is bouncing back into that mic. And sure, your mic is like half an inch from the grill. You'd be surprised how much that room mode still gets in there. It's absolutely nuts. So all you people who are telling all these noobs to spend all this money on this, mic in their guitar cabinets and stuff, just leave them alone. Let them do their thing. You're wasting their time. They're wasting their money. For the most part, nobody's going to tell the difference. Your album's not going to be a hit or a dud because, oh man, if you only would have put a mic in front of the speakers, it would have been a hit. That's never going to happen. So that's another one. Just ergonomics, man. The impulses are just so much easier to use. It sounds like a silly thing, but people will kill themselves trying to mic stuff in their rooms, guitars and things. Like, you just don't need to do that. I mean, go ahead if you want, but don't feel like you have to. Don't let anybody tell you have to. And you guys who are telling them, don't do that. Don't go around telling noobs they got to do that. It's nonsense. It's just, it's almost guaranteed to sound worse. It'll definitely sound different, but I guarantee it probably going to sound much worse. So yeah, I just blew all my credibility. But I always look at the Misfits albums. Any of them. The modern ones sound a little bit better, but the old ones were horrible. They sounded awful, but yet people love that. They'll keep going back and buying that. We still talk about all those songs. They're forever and they're timeless. And that was the crappiest recordings. The songs mattered so much more. I'm even beginning to, if I want things to sound good, then I'm really worried about performance. But in general, I don't even worry about performance as much as I used to, sadly. When it comes to mixing toms and things like that, then yeah, all of a sudden I really want the best performance. But really, it's surprising how little even the performance matters compared to the song. I'll take the better song any day, every day, and twice on Sunday, as they say. So the other thing is, headphones. Headphones are such a pain. They use a 1/4-inch jack, and it's hard to get good female 1/4-inch jacks. So you probably have to, like, for instance, in my room, I run a 2 outputs from a DL32. They go into a Y cable that goes into an XLR male, and then I take that XLR male on a regular mic cable out to wherever I want to have the headphone amp, and then I plug that XLR male into another adapter that goes from female XLR to 2 male 1/4 inches, and those go into the headphone amp. And then I got to plug the power into the headphone amp. It might not be someplace handy. And then if I want to move the headphones even further away than the headphone amp can get to it, then I'm messing with that scary female 1/4-inch jack on a cable again. So, that's a pain. The way we used to do it vintage, we had these metal boxes. They had an XLR coming in, an XLR coming out, and they went to 2 female 1/4-inch jacks mounted in the box, and you just carry it over to wherever you are. You plug it in with the mic cable and plug the headphone into it. You didn't have a volume control, and that was, that's another thing. Headphone mixes. There's so many different ways you could make this ergonomic, and it's a tricky thing when you think about the routing. Like, you guys have seen my routing setups before. It's so hard to remember. Even if you look at like Total Mix right here. There you go. We go to the routing matrix. It's hard to keep all this in your head. It really is, and that's a big problem. You're constantly, like, my routing system is so screwy, and then the way that Midas and Behringer force you to do the routing internally to their console so I can get this stuff in and out of there, it's hard to keep in your head. So it's real easy to mess up. So if you can get away from that kind of routing, do it. I may, who knows, maybe I'm going back to interfaces or something. I don't know. But in general, make it easier to record, and you'll get good recordings. It's that simple. I'm telling you. You watch the most prolific writers. They don't have like a Studer 827 sitting next to their bed. They have some crappy, like they just sing right into their iPhone or whatever, and so that they don't forget this melody. That's what it takes. And make it easier to mix, and you'll get good mixes. It's just how it is. So that's really all I had to say about ergonomics. It's a kind of short one. We got one little thing. I'm still looking for a van. Still fighting that Toyota Sienna versus Honda Odyssey battle. And I found a perfect Odyssey today. Just 80,000 miles, 2011 EXL. So it had all the options, sunroof, the whole deal, every single thing. And I couldn't get a single mechanic to go out and do the pre-purchase inspection of it. They just refused. They just said, no, these things, the transmissions die, and it's just, I won't put my name on it. But it's so weird, because I see gajillions of those things on the road. Are they that bad that that nobody wants to touch them? That's just kind of crazy. But so I guess I'm getting a Sienna. So those are hard to find, man. They're really expensive, and nobody wants to sell them. They sell them straight to the dealer. So that's my week. You guys beta tested. Okay, so there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. This is really hard for me. I've kind of been out of the, I'm not like I'm out of the business, but I'm not really keeping in touch with people, because I'm always doing something else. I'm always working on something. I've lost touch with a lot of people inside the music industry, and now that I'm looking for beta testers still for my new plugin company, and I do know the usual suspects, but a lot of the guys I used to talk to every day I don't really talk to anymore, and I'd like to. So if you're around and you want to, if you're recording some drums, let me know, because I still could use some beta testers, especially influential ones. So that's gonna be it for today. So like I said, super short, but I'll see you next week, and hopefully get a little less stressed. So see you guys later.